Ready? All right, very good. Welcome to the Village of Williamsville Village Board Work Session. We're going to start, it is 6 p.m. We're going to start with our guest, Kevin Miller from Gomez and Sullivan Engineering. He's going to review the draft study for the Ellicott Creek flood mitigation. At this time, questions will only be from the board. If anybody in the public has questions, please save them for public comment, and we'll record them if we can't answer them and send them on to Gomez and Sullivan. Okay? Thank you. All right, Kevin, you ready?
Sure thing.
It's all yours.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good volume?
Can everyone hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, Zoom
My name is Kevin Miller. I'm with Gomez and Sullivan Engineers. I'm a water resources engineer. I'm here to present to you today about the flood mitigation study for Ellicott Creek within the village. We want to go to the next slide, please. So the village is, aware that there's a number of residential areas that are within the floodplain along Ellicott Creek. And so they've commissioned this study to evaluate the impact on flooding with different Williamsville Dam modifications. Next slide. A little bit of history. So originally, the West Channel was the only channel of Ellicott Creek around Island. And that would be the channel on your left. And it was dammed in the early 1800s to help support mill operations. So the Klein Dam towards the top part of the page, and the old stone mill, or the old stone dam at the bottom of the page. In the 1930s, East Channel was constructed along with Williamsville Dam as a flood mitigation project. And the gates of Williamsville Dam were to remain in place and only be open to pass flows so that mill operations could continue and also provide flood mitigation during those high flow events. Next slide, please. The mill hasn't operated since the early 2000s, and Klein Dam was removed in the 2010s. More recently, the gates at Williamsville Dam have been removed and not put back into service. Next slide. So this study started with data collection, existing models, studies, reports, drawings, and also collected some new data in the field, elevations, dimensions, photographs. And next, a hydrologic model or a hydrologic analysis was performed. This was used to develop flows in the creek, ranging from very low flow events, such as the 7-day annual low flow, to high flow events, such as the 500-year recurrence interval. And just as a point of reference, the 100-year recurrence interval is what FEMA typically uses to define the floodway and for regulatory purposes of floodplain mapping and insurance. The hydraulic analysis used a combined 1- and 2-dimensional model, and it was developed to analyze existing conditions and potential alternatives. Now, for this study, existing conditions is the dam in place with its gates in place operating as they were intended to, not the current state of the dam as you look at it today with the gates removed. Next slide, please. So in looking at alternatives, we wanted to compare water levels and flows for the existing conditions and the alternatives. And when selecting those alternatives, items such as flooding impacts, operations and maintenance, riparian rights, village property boundaries, and costs were all considered. Next slide. The first alternative analyzed replaced the existing gates in Williamsville Dam with an automated crest gate system, which might look something like the image in the lower part of the page. And those would essentially use a sensor to to move the press gates up and down to manage the water level automatically. And the cost estimate for this was approximately $1.2 million. Next slide. The second alternative was to remove the existing Williamsville Dam and construct a new weir further upstream. This weir would only be about 6 inches high, and you would excavate the west channel. And between those excavations and that minimal weir height, it would ensure that flows were in the west channel under low flow conditions, while also providing flood reduction benefits by not having gates or some other larger dam in the way. And the cost estimate for that is approximately $0.7 million. The third alternative took the second alternative and added a flood bench along the east channel on its eastern banks. And that flood bench is located in property already owned by the village. And the cost estimate for that was approximately $1.3 million. So all of the aspects of alternative 2 are incorporated in this with the addition of the flood bench. Next slide, please. This slide just puts at a high level some of the results that we're seeing. So under normal flow conditions, flow in the west channel would be entirely in the west channel under the existing intended operations of the dam and alternative 1 with the automated gates. If you were to remove the dam and excavate the channel and construct this weir for both alternatives 2 and 3, that would leave only about 20% of the flow under normal conditions going through that west channel, with the remaining 80% going down the east channel. As far as flood reduction, you have less than half a foot of flood reduction under any of these alternatives, with increased flood reduction from alternative 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. Similarities among all of these alternatives is that they all reduce the chance of gate misoperation. They all reduce the chance of debris buildup, logs and other debris getting caught on the piers within the existing dam. They all have similar flood inundation extents. So even though you're reducing the water level by about 0.4 feet, you're not really reducing the footprint very significantly of where the water stands. And under all of these scenarios, the mill would not be operational even if the existing dam was in place with its gates because of the removal of Klein Dam in the 2010s. Next slide, please. So based on the study that was presented here, alternative 2 appears to provide the best combination of upfront costs, flood reduction benefit, and long-term operations and maintenance responsibilities. The next steps after this study would require engineering design, applications and permits, and trying to identify funding, which some grants may require a benefit cost study to be completed. And that is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, I do have a couple. Can you look at the actual report? Is it in front of you?
I can pull that out.
I just had a question. Under existing conditions 4.1, if you could just clarify that first sentence. So the results under existing conditions show that there's no flow in the east channel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And can you just explain that to me? Because there's always flow in the east channel. It's the west channel that runs low. So
Well,
what does that
as I
language
stated
mean?
during this study, existing conditions considered the dam under its intended operations with the gates in place. So that means that the gates would be placed high enough that under normal conditions, it would force all flow through the west channel.
Okay, thank you. That, wasn't sure. The other, another question, on excavation. If we were to do excavation,
Mhm.
we do have, in the LWRP, we have, needs to, help support on, right, at Glen Park, under that bridge after the waterfall. That wall, could we use some of that material in conjunction with, supporting that wall? Or,
Would this be material placed within the channel itself to support the wall or behind the wall?
it would be, like, if we took out the old, we're gonna take out old stone, like large pieces of
Mhm.
stone, could we move those down to, Ben knows, I'm sure Ben and I have discussed this before, he knows where I'm talking, where the water turns and it's hitting that wall right at the Locks of Love. We were talking about putting some diversion, large boulders there or something at one point. So could some of this material be used for that? Could we tie this in with our LWRP objectives?
That is a possibility. The placement of material within the floodway would require a no-rise analysis, so I'm not sure if it would be feasible to do that from a regulatory perspective. But that's something that could be looked into further.
Okay, thank you. And then on riparian rights, Chip, have we come to a conclusion on the riparian rights for Glen Springs above the island?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, because you have, they had in the study that you received a letter from residents of Glen Springs, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I've seen.
Requesting the riparian, stating they have riparian rights, but I believe that there was something else that changed that for them. Project at Worley that hit the spring, the natural spring.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing something about that, but I don't know what riparian right, I mean, I don't have this letter, so I don't.
Spring, okay. It was from a couple years ago.
Okay, I'm not
got
sure
copies
that
of it.
I ever
Okay.
saw a letter from.
Because under riparian rights, we haven't confirmed, that those are, that there are actual rights in that area that we can do anything about because of construction that was done many years ago. So we may have to just change, address confirmed and achievable riparian rights, some of the language.
Yeah, again, I don't know what, I mean, the riparian rights are somebody's rights to use the water. What I believe you're talking about is in areas where there is no water,
Right,
hasn't been for quite some time.
correct.
Yeah.
They,
That was due
I'll get you a copy of that.
town when they did work on World.
That, I remember that discussion, I'm not sure that.
And that's when that occurred, and that's why they're bringing this up.
Right.
okay, so I just wanna make sure
And
that
anybody's riparian rights, even if there are riparian rights, I'm not really sure that that's the correct term to be using here, but, is subject to public rights of safety and those other things. But nobody has an unfettered right to have water situation not change on them.
okay. And then you said you would be going 3 feet down all through that west channel or in certain areas? Like, is that just an estimate of depth?
Yeah, so it's partly an estimate. That channel is relatively flat. I think it's, 3 feet towards the upstream end of it, but less towards the downstream end. I don't recall exactly how much might need to be cut, in different areas.
Okay, so it could be different depending on what's already, how deep it already is? So. it would be-
Right.
Okay. Okay, good, any questions?
Yeah, on alternative 3, with the shelf that you described, that's about how wide?
Let's see. About 40 feet wide.
So it would go 40 feet from the center of the creek, or from the edge of the creek, or,
40 feet from the edge of the creek.
okay, got it. Okay,
So when you're doing this construction at Young's parking lot, are you gonna be, it said you're gonna be, impeding access to the land on both sides of where the existing dam would be taken out as one of the alternatives? Would that shut down Island Park? Access?
Potentially, it depends on how things are staged. Yeah, I think that would be a question more towards the next phase of the study, when they're actually doing the formal design and construction layout and staging. So I can't say with any certainty whether you would need to completely shut off access to the park at this point, during construction.
How would you find out if there are any kind of environmental contaminants in the material removed?
You would have to do, during the design phase, some exploratory testing of samples, to have them tested for contaminants.
Okay, and then in table 3-30-1, the potential benefit, every single one gives a slight reduction in upstream flooding. So is this just something that, based on the data, it could happen, there's a 1% chance every year that it could happen?
Yeah, so it depends on what magnitude of flood would be coming through, as far as how big of a reduction in flood levels you would see. But also, the word slight is used because it's not as if you have multiple feet of reduction in flooding under any of the scenarios analyzed.
Okay, thank you. And then, one other question on the benching, getting back to the benching. The portion that would be removed, that would be we at one point were thinking of doing a complete walkway along that side of the creek to get us over to Garrison Park as another part of the LWRP, kind of tying all the parks in together. Would that basically remove that opportunity for us? Would that land be removed because it would have to be cut out, take that piece of, or all of that soil would have to be removed? We'd no longer have a walk path area?
You could potentially still have a walking path along there. You just might need some, grade changes, steps to get down and then back up at the other end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Anything else?
Yeah, just one, the cost estimates are based on potential removal and installation of the options. It doesn't include any estimate towards possible environmental impact study or anything of that nature?
It would include the level of environmental impact study needed for permit applications.
And you-
Is it a secret?
Yep.
Yeah. So like we would do in any type of construction, it's a secret, basically.
And those estimates are potential, you did a 40% increase?
Contingency, yeah.
Contingency increase, okay.
Yeah, that's a typical contingency for, you know, this level of design to carry forward.
Okay. All right, well, I think that's everything I have. Anybody else?
You know, I'm thinking about the excavation and trying to picture this. And I know a lot of the homeowners have had issues with no water being on the West Channel, that their tree roots have become barren and the trees are starting to fall into the creek. My question is, with excavation, would that even be a worse scenario? And what about the wildlife that lives in the creek on the west side when you do the excavation? How do you handle situations like that?
Yeah, so if you're lowering the creek bed and hence the water by a couple of feet, then yeah, existing vegetation may have trouble accessing that water for its root systems then. You know, I don't know that there's an easy solution for that. And then as far as existing wildlife using that reach, that would rebound in a reasonably quick amount of time.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we're good? Pretty good? All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Anything else you wanted to add, or Chip, did you have any questions? Ben, are you there, Ben?
He's there and he's good.
He's good, okay.
No, I'm all set. Kevin and I have been working on this for a few months, so I'm pretty familiar with the context. And thank you, Kevin, for your succinct and very good presentation.
Yeah, very well done.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
All right, thank you very much. Good night. Nice night. Very good.
Bye.
All right.
All right. That was very interesting. Well done. Oh, so we just stay in the dark?
Do we like the moonlight? Yeah,
Whew, there you go.
hello, everybody.
Everybody's eyes on this. Did Ben stay on or is he gone?
No, we hung up, yeah.
That's fine, no, we'll just, he just had a few things on here, we'll have to move to the next meeting.
The next meeting. Okay.
All right, Grant, up to you.
Okay, so I guess the big grant update is that we had our strategy meeting today regarding, the Regional Economic Development Council's, CFA guidebook, which comes out, it basically explains the requirements for application, for a number of different grants that are available, and so we met to strategize over what projects we were going to apply for in the 25-26 year, and then in the 26-27 year, depending on how far along these projects were. So I'll have an update for you in detail at the next meeting, based on the meeting we had today about that, but it was very productive, and it's nice to see some of these bigger ideas coming to fruition. Let's see, what else do we have? And then you wanna do the 5-year thing? Or, no, that's fine, I just mean, so for the 5-year plan, that kind of ties into that. approach to the CFA applications that we're going to apply for in the 26-27 year. So those considerations help build out a more a more robust 5-year plan if you can anticipate what kind of grant funding you're gonna get. Let's see, community development one, is that what we're going to next?
Yes.
Okay. So the comprehensive plan is meeting, or the comprehensive plan committee is meeting next month with Colliers, the consultants. Our public workshop was very well attended, that went very well. And then sort of the exciting news for community development and our place in the region as a larger overall whole. We were asked to be a stakeholder for a trail connection project through the GVNRTC, the Greater Buffalo Niagara Regional Transportation Council, which is the program that's leading the charge on connecting the trails and greenways for a more pedestrian-friendly, more bike-friendly region. So those are kind of our exciting community development updates, as well as the mayor was on the news today to promote Juneteenth in the village, which is coming on June 21st, be 12 to 5, and all are welcome. Looking forward to just making our community more inclusive in every way we can. That's all I have for community development.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so for technology updates, as you know, we have to, mandated by the state, change our website to a .gov website, so that transfer is in progress now. If you visit our website right now and something doesn't look right, no reason to worry, because every once in a while they gotta take it down, work on it, put it back up, okay? Clearing your cache may help, patience and pardon our dust. We have also recently joined the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, MSISAC, a federally funded organization committed to better internet security. Because making resident and village data safety is a priority in the 25-26 year through advanced security protocols. So we are upgrading our DNS servers, our HTTPS, and firewalls, and SSL. Let's see, we're really grateful because we've had a lot of good advice recently from local experts, and of course, our in-house IT department, Sophie, is very helpful with this. So that's good, that's our technology update. Did you do, let's see here, you did, yeah, okay. End of the year, fiscal year end right now, so we're just finishing up 24-25. Heading into 26 year, so we're working on the 2 years right now financially. Budget's done, so that's good. Taxes are coming up, they'll be coming out soon, and they are due end of June, July 1st to be specific. And what else? We have a election coming up on June 17th here at Village Hall from 12 to 9. Parks are open now, and we are looking to get the pool open, the wading pool in Garrison Park open as soon as we can. Catherine has finished up all their interviews and we're fully hired, so as soon as we can get them trained, we get the pool open. Okay? We're hoping to do that before school actually lets off. If the weather continues to cooperate, I don't know.
Yeah, don't hurry right now, right?
Don't hurry, yeah.
Right?
And that's all I have for right now.
All right, thank you very much, Administrator Canal. Ben is unexpectedly not here, so we will work on, well, I do know that the 2 drainage improvement projects park is completed.
Right,
Orchard
park is done.
underway.
Yeah, Orchard's gonna be done within a couple of days.
Yeah, I saw these.
They're just finishing that up. There's the other topics under Ben, he's gonna just we're keeping sewer lining project on there, just to kind of keep it current. And then the 2 other things are in your packets today. There's a asbestos removal, package that we're asking for there, and roof replacement is also on the list. And then the feasibility study for the parking lots, for the permeable pavements. So those are in your backup docs.
Yeah, I read that, that looks
great, doesn't it?
That does look great, the permeable pavement.
So
for the
excited.
park. I know.
I've been wanting that for years.
I know.
Yeah.
We tried to do that in 23 with the New York Forward.
Right.
Didn't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
now we'll be able to do it.
Getting it done.
Getting it done. Okay, very good. All right, committee reports, I just want to update everybody, trustee Jackson and I did attend the wreath laying at the Williamsville Cemetery yesterday. A very nice and solemn affair, but it was a very nice day for it. And we met some very interesting people, a 102-year-old female veteran, and spoke to her for a while, and then, of course, got to speak to a bunch of the folks that were participating. So it was a very nice event. Gonna move right on to Asher Crossing, my favorite topic.
Well, there's at least some developments. They did get the drawing over to Mark, and they have been exchanging some emails
Oh, good.
to try to resolve the outstanding issues. So that's all, I mean, they're discussing
Good.
those
And then,
open items.
the portion of the street is still a topic?
Yeah, actually, was hoping that they would resolve those issues. I have not re-engaged them with those particular discussions.
Could you please?
Yeah, I can. I want to get,
So that we can kind of do both at once?
Yeah.
So it's
mhm,
amicable?
yes, sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's everything for me tonight. Deputy Mayor Tory?
Thank you, Mayor Hunt. Committee reports, as we all know, the Environmental Committee and the Tree Board are sponsoring Earth Day this year, which happens on June 7th. So please come, you can get tree saplings. Hours are from 10 to 1. We'll have Wegmans there. Wegmans collects, if you ever go to Wegmans and you can drop off your plastic bags, you can use bubble wrap, anything. They actually send it to a company that refurbishes it into benches, tables, and they'll come to Earth Day to explain how else they help the environment within their store and with the help of their customers. So one big topic will be the plastic bags, which I'm really looking forward to hearing them talk about. Messenger Woods is coming with wildlife. We have somebody coming from PRISM to talk about invasive species. Always interesting. If you have any questions about any invasives in your garden, please come. She can answer all your questions and how best to eradicate them. We try to use non-toxic methods if be, but if you have questions, definitely come to that event as well. And Theater Repair Cafe, make sure you register your item that you want repaired. You just have to take a picture of this little, what do you call this? QR. What is it? QR code. And it'll ask you for your name, your email, and what item you want repaired. And they do great repairs on bicycles, sewing machines, mixers, radios, toys. They sew. If you need anything, the zipper put in something, they actually sew. They'll replace the zipper for you. So make sure you attend the Earth Day. It's a free event and everybody's invited. But also a new thing that's happening at the market this year. The first market was last Saturday. It was very well attended despite the cold weather. But the Amherst Refuge and Recycling on the first Saturday of every month is now collecting alkaline batteries. So I know how we all love to collect our batteries because we don't like to throw them into the garbage. So you can take them out of the basement and bring them to Earth Day, and also the first Saturday of every month to the market. The stand is there. It'll say Amherst Recycling, and they will also accept at Earth Day a styrofoam. So you have any styrofoam, if you just bought a washing machine recently or a TV, that all cannot go in the landfill because it does not decompose. Bring it to Earth Day, and we bring it to a company out in Tonawanda, and they reuse it for insulation. So all this stuff is actually recyclable, reusable. So if you have a question and you don't know what to do with an item, feel free to call me, email me, ask me, and I'll try to help you find a good way to dispose of it so it doesn't end up in a landfill. So that's really important. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is our 175th celebration anniversary. the incorporation of the Village of Williamsville. Sophie and I have been working on a few events. One is a shared event with Sweet Jenny's. And Sweet Jenny's is actually having a contest where you can create a flavor and actually invent a name to go with your ice cream flavor. And we prefer to have the ice cream named for the Village of Williamsville. I'm not sure, having to do with the Village of Williamsville, like Jonas Crackle Pop or whatever, anything that involves the village. And so I've been working on this with Sophie, and I just want to show you. This will be the poster that's going to go around, and the voting will be online. It'll be a site through Google, where you'll have the ice cream flavors, and then there will be a space for your name and the name of your ice cream that you want to invent. And then the winner of this event will receive 2 quarts of their ice cream and a $25 gift certificate from Sweet Jenny's. And that winner will be announced on our wonderful big Founders Day celebration. This will be a family event. We're closing down Glen Avenue on the 26th between the hours of 12 and 3, we believe. And it's a children and family event. We're going to have pinwheels and flags. We're going to have games and bubbles and chalk, so you can draw all over the pavement if you want to. It'll be, and hopefully a parade. We're hoping for a children's parade, hopefully. We're working on that. But that will be June 26th, a Thursday, from noon to 3. So write it in your calendar and please join us. When we find, it's called a Founders Day celebration.
Yes. Are we letting kids choose a flavor, like if they don't have?
One per
access to
family.
Google? Okay.
One per family. Yes, thank you for reminding me. The submission is 1 per family. Okay, but it'll be a lot of fun. We're gonna name the winner that day. Do I have anything else? Hold on. Oh, the bioswale. So, Alexandra Circle, who is my bioswale genius, she goes and checks out the bioswales at least twice a week to see how they're doing. She's noticed that some of the bioswales receive a lot of the runoff. I mean, so massive that it floods out the seeds. So now what she's doing, she's incorporating different plants. So she goes, because now that's how she watches to see what plants will do better in which bioswale. Like the ones further, going further west, those actually accepted the crimson clover seeds, and those are beginning to sprout. But the ones up closer to Main Street, they get a lot of water, and they get washed out. So we're basically, every week it'd be something else, but she's checking it weekly. And we want to put in signs. One, we're going to do that. Jackie over here is helping me. We're going to do one sign that people should please not use them for their ashtrays. And we're also doing signs that explain what a bioswale is. And Alexander suggested we have a few signs that explain what the plantings are. So, yes, so we, planting 1 is this, et cetera. They're all natives, and they're all meant for the bioswale. So we're working on that as well. That's all I have.
Oh, very good, excellent, thank you very much. Dr.
Thank
Mary.
you.
One other thing I forgot to mention under my committee reports, we're tentatively booking the meeting house for June 11th for a State of the Village. Because there's so much going on, and there are so many moving parts. We would just like to bullet point it for the public so that they can come and see, but not a very long one, it's a summer night, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But an opportunity just to see what we're doing, where we are on certain things, some of the things we've achieved in the last 2 years. So I just wanted everybody to know that.
So that's on the 11th?
June 11th.
What time?
We're doing 6 p.m.?
I think that's what you had originally.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. at the meeting house?
The meeting.
Okay, great.
So that would be in place, is that our notice?
No, that's Wednesday.
Oh, okay, got it. So it is.
It's in addition to, it's more informal, where we're just going to be able to put some slides up and just review what we're doing, what we've done, what we're doing, where we're hoping to go once we get everything in place. Okay? All right, and Trustee Celeste?
Thank you, Mayor. Meeting House Committee had met last week after a little bit of a hiatus, but a lot of conversation around their speaker series and what topics they're looking for, ideas and discussing, keeping as much of it as village-centric as possible, but realizing that that might run out a little bit from time to time. So the idea is certainly one of the major ideas is having something that ties in with the 175.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So they're working on that. Again, robust activity there with theater and music and whatnot. One of the topics that we were throwing around is different ideas on how to best utilize the meeting house and what we can do to bring in more of our community to understand what's there and what they would do with it, you know, how to incorporate that. I talked to Doug about the audio-visual tech that they had come in. He hasn't come back yet with the specifics, but we do expect it shortly. So I don't know if he's talked to you soon.
Not yet.
But, you know, so we do have some ideas around that as well. There was some discussion about painting and whatnot, some of the topics that we cover all the time. But they did ask about the removal of one of the last pews for more handicap accessible, wheelchair access for the events there. And I get it, you know, certainly it gets a little difficult with numbers of people in there, the space to move around isn't great. But, you know, that's the nature of the building itself. But, you know, the pews are 20 foot long. So the question is, if you take one out,
Where's it gonna go?
where's it gonna go?
Right.
You know, so that's something that we'll have to kind of
Yeah.
figure out.
They're not hard to remove. It's
They're
just-
not. Yeah, but I don't know if we can get them down into the basement.
No,
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 I might be
definitely not.
unsure.
No, definitely not. I've been down there.
Have you?
Yeah,
Haven't seen that.
definitely not. Yeah.
To do some, think outside the box where they could be used for.
A storage area, preferably, or where we can use them, you mean,
Where they
just
could be
place it?
used for.
Oh, yeah.
And put a little placard that they were originally from the meeting house,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an idea.
so we don't have to just have them select us.
Yeah.
Because I do agree, we do need some accessible areas.
Yeah.
It's very tight.
It's very easy
I know what-
egress into the building and
Yeah.
out, but once you get in, it's hard to find a place to go.
Right.
Do you see them as needing to come back in, or once they're out, they're out? Like, do you feel like there might be any events where you need to bring those back?
Well,
Because you're not just
certainly-
trying to like sell them or auction them.
I wouldn't,
I
yeah, I wouldn't do in and out, it'd be permanent removal and reuse.
Yeah.
I think maybe having some folding chairs available to compensate for
Yeah.
the loss of
Okay.
seating. Because there are events that take place there where it's standing room only,
Right,
so,
so yeah, we can have extra chairs, which we have.
yeah,
Then
I
we
think
can
that
just
would
bring up
probably,
a storage and just get rid of it. Maybe we don't even need
Yeah.
chairs or something.
Traffic and safety also met, and we had a very, very good meeting with Phil Galvo from Watts. He came in, he was nice enough to talk to the committee on some specific questions that they had. And I know we came into it, you know, last time with the committee kind of endorsing the entire proposal. This time, it was an attempt to get feedback from Phil and also from the committee members on kind of narrowing and being more strategic about implementation of what ideas are there. And there was some very good conversation around it. I do expect, we're actually gonna meet on the 5th. So we just met last week and we decided to meet on the 5th, which is our normal time, so that we can, you know, shorten the time frame where this new recommendation is gonna come out for the board.
For the board, and then we can look for funding and start to move along.
Yeah.
Okay, Good.
And that's it. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, trustee Celeste. Trustee Hahn?
Committee reports, the gardens are coming along 1912, I believe, Ben is at the end or close to the end of the DPW's involvement. Now it's over to the committee for the planting and things like those.
Beautiful, actually.
It does,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Wow, what a
It's-
change.
I know. You know, I love all those flowers. I really, what do they do with all of them?
You'd have to ask Mr. I know some are in.
Some got
storage.
Oh, we did
Yes.
replant
Yeah,
some of
they
them?
do.
Because
Some
there
of
were
them
so
got
many.
replanted.
Okay, good, I'm glad.
The mural garden is waiting and needs to be taken care of. WBA, we're, had a very lively meeting. The topic of temporary signs or the A-frame signs, window signs is very much forefront. I think we got a good resolution. And we have copies of the fee schedule for the building department, including the sign permits, right on the table by our illustrious clerk. On that, we've been talking a lot at the WBA and commenting on the business owners keeping their fronts nice, and we had a lot of participation with the green up. We need like participation from the library, town hall, and to a certain degree our own building, and keeping the weeds down along the curb. Tree board is all set for birthday. They have their seedlings, and that completes my reports.
Thank you, Trustee Hahn, Trustee Jackson.
Had a couple, I'm gonna do all the committee reports. So Glen Park Joint Board would like to encumber funds for 2 new Glen Park signs on Glen Avenue on each end of the park. So we had a quote and they were about 32, 33 each. And so they're asking that they could.
$33.
3,200.
That's pretty for a sign, yeah.
No, 8,300 about per sign, so they would like the board to consider that.
And they'll match all the other parts?
Yes,
Right.
it's gonna be the exact same sign
Yeah.
that's used in South Lawn, Garrison, Island Park, so they're very nice.
They are. Are we gonna still keep the old ones though? I like the old one too.
I'm not
Have you,
sure.
it's on Glen Avenue, there's an old one, you don't like it at all?
Well, if we get new ones, we're not gonna.
You're gonna, really? I'll take it then.
Okay.
It's like one of those, you know, it's like one of those, yeah, exactly. It's
Nostalgic.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nostalgic.
Are the bathrooms are open?
Yeah.
Not at Glen Park, no,
Not,
not at Glen Park yet,
Oh, it's not yet.
no, 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 no.
At Glen
The
Park,
bathrooms
or
are open
the
at
parks
Island.
in general? Like
Right,
it's
South Lawn
so-
Park, yeah.
Like
you know.
they were
Yeah.
waiting
Like
until the
Glen Park.
last frost, something about you can't open them too early because
Do you know all the bathrooms at the parks or the new bathrooms at them?
I was asking about all the parks.
All the parks are open, I think they're doing, I think there's like a grand opening for the Glen Park, that's anticipated in the next.
And then we heard that at some point in the future, there'll be a webcam Glens Falls.
We're trying, that's something, yes, we are working on getting a live stream of the falls set up, because we do have a camera that watches the falls just for like park security and, you know, Ben's purposes, but
if anybody's interested in painting a bench in Island Park, South Island Park, Garrison Park.
Is this similar to what they did a couple of years ago?
Not the bench.
Okay, but there was also, there was no advertising allowed.
Yes, there's a,
Is that in there?
yeah, the process flyer lists a lot of the caveats about it, so no profanity, obviously, obscene words, imagery, you can't use it to promote a business, and you have to submit your design in advance to
Yes.
get approval. So
Park
that's
committee
how
approval.
Right.
Yeah, Maureen, Christian. Has that. So look for the flyers on their Facebook page.
Okay.
Yes. I'll post it.
Jolly Boys are donating string lights, and they're gonna be putting them across the Island Park Bridge. Thank you very much.
That's for all summer or what?
You're not aware of it?
For summer,
I don't even
so-
know. Okay.
But that's fine.
They brought it up at the parks. Committee.
Somebody should ask us then.
And a call out to any Eagle Scouts looking for a project. Parks Committee would like to do a community bulletin board, similar to like what's in Glen Park or the other parks. So if there's any Eagle Scouts out there, or anybody knows an Eagle Scout who's looking for a project, please let us know. Email me or the Parks Committee.
Yeah,
Call
definitely.
Village Hall.
Definitely
We'll get
could use
dressed in
them.
the right spot. The last thing is they're gonna be putting some chess tables in Garrison Park. And so their meeting, so Parks Committee will meet June 24th, 7 o'clock at Garrison Park, to figure out placement of where.
And one's
to put
gonna
some
be
chess
in,
tables.
Glen Park.
No, we're gonna keep them together.
Yeah,
What?
they're gonna put
We're
them
doing them
all
all
in
at school.
one
We're not putting
spot.
one in Glen Park?
Not right now, unless you
Oh,
want.
I thought we
Do
were.
it down the road.
I thought they were doing something at South Lawn.
We talked to Ben, and Ben was suggesting this place, and, that Garrison Park was his suggestion, and I brought it up to the Parks Committee, and they all like the idea a lot, and they like the idea of actually keeping them together, because there are chess tournaments at, like in New York
Yeah.
City and the bigger cities around, where they could come and have a little chess tournament, or have a picnic table, and bring their own chessboards, and then use our chessboards, so it would be an attraction, and just a different thing to do in our parks, so it sounded pretty cool. So that's that, June 24th to 7th, Garrison Park's the next one. Last, arts, culture, and diversity. So they have the big Juneteenth event coming June 21st. It's here at Island Park, 12 to 5. We have the flyer here. I have updated flyers, and there's gonna be speakers, a lot of different music, a lot of different food, and I think it's gonna be a really nice event. So please come out. That's all I have, thank you.
Yeah, there's a violin trio coming. They're gonna play for an hour and a half, and they are very talented.
Vibrant Strings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very talented. What are they, again?
Vibrant Strings.
Vibrant Strings.
The Colored Musicians Club of Buffalo.
Very,
We have
very talented.
Judge McLeod will be speaking with some other dignitaries, and then they'll have a lot of vendors and free health screenings. There's just a lot. The flyer will be up on our Facebook page as well.
Right.
and With more details on it.
Sponsored by the village or somebody else?
It's through Arts,
Arts, Culture,
Culture, and
Diversity.
Diversity Committee.
So it's not actually sponsored by the village?
The committee is,
The committee
that
is
committee of the village?
the committee of the village, yes.
Thank you.
We are supporting the committee.
So we're spending money on it, right?
The committee, whatever is
Committee's
allotted to
budget.
them, that's in their budget, whatever's in their budget. It's not coming out of, anywhere else. It's coming out of the budget, our culture and diversity budget, just like parks money comes out of parks and
But
budget.
we supply the money to the culture community?
Yeah,
Every committee.
well, yeah, every committee is appropriated money every year,
And that's what
so
we
they
use.
have money to spend. Just like Glen Park Joint Board, beautification, we give everybody, all of our committees receive funding. That's how they can,
How they operate?
how they
Make
can
all these great
operate.
events, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Glen Park Art Festival, anything on that? I think we're just getting permits.
Yeah, they're just starting to trickle in.
Trickling in, okay, permits are coming in.
And then, there's some discussion about, chalk, just
Oh, yes,
the
chalk.
chalk, like delineating each of the booths along an avenue in the parking lots and using chalk.
It has to be chalked in, because we still have some numbers out there from last year.
Very good. I do have to say, let me just say one thing. Yeah, I was there, I know Doug and I were there last year when they were breaking down the Bumper Gun Festival, and they were excellent at getting all the garbage out, putting the park back into the shape they found it, you know, when they started. And I was there, I was watering the gardens, but I happened to witness the entire thing.
Yeah, we always make sure.
It was great. They were very, very responsible and respectful, and did a really nice job
We
breaking down.
just need chalk paint.
Yeah. we just-
That's all we're asking.
They always do everything else.
Not a big ask.
Fine, we just need chalk paint.
Yeah, we'll have, so the paint topic came up at the WBA meeting. And I asked the person who was speaking about the art festival. And she said they got the paint from the DPW.
No,
We order it for them, but they ran out and went to Ed Young and got regular.
Okay.
yeah, that's what.
So, the paint that we ordered for them is washable?
It's chalk, yes.
Yeah.
Wash it away.
It comes out.
So what we need to do is, we must need to order more if they ran out last year.
Conceivably, yes.
So we need to get a better number.
Because you can store that stuff, I mean, you know, get a whole
Yes.
slew of it and.
So we need to see what we ordered last year and then double it, please.
So use like sidewalk chalk, you know, the regular chocolate cans use, we could, you know,
If you wanted to,
potentially use that.
absolutely.
They're outlets, they're dry line, and they're right.
And then you know the number, right?
That was it.
And the concern would be using that chalk is not as durable, but if it were to rain, it would wash away
Right, that was.
the roof number, yeah, so.
Otherwise, the language was chalk.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, we choose it to set up for placement
They can,
purposes.
yeah, you have to set up,
And that's
and if it
done
rains
within
that night,
24
then the
hours.
next morning, they're gonna have to run over and use chalk anyway.
Yeah,
That's,
that's-
yeah, exactly.
Can I throw something in? The Glen Park Committee is going to use our volunteers to assist them. So we're gonna, in that our volunteers take ownership of the park. They'll assist them Thursday, Friday in setting up, whether it's marking the pavement or locking up our bathrooms.
Everywhere.
And even our porta potties are gonna be wire tied closed, because they'll bring in their own.
Right.
But in any case, we're gonna assist them, so these other things that happened in the past
Don't have anything.
won't happen.
Yeah, okay, good.
I'll be there if Paul's gonna do this.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, and a few others from our Glen Park Joint Board.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you, trustee Jackson. We get a half-hour break. Unless there's anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay.
We don't have an executive session.
No.
You have no need for executive tonight?
Not from my perspective.
Okay, good, no executive. All right, very good. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Village of Williamsville Village Board meeting for May 27th, 2025, beginning at 7:30 PM. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Hahn.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Hahn. Roll call, please, Administrator Canal.
I'm sorry,
Oh, roll call.
I saw kids that was. Mayor Hunt,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Tory,
Here.
Trustee Sula,
Here?
Trustee Hahn,
here.
Trustee Jackson. Here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Administrator Canal. Make a motion for the approval of the minutes of May 12th, 2025.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Rules of procedure, I just want to remind everybody, our rules of procedure. If you step to the podium to comment to the board, please address only the board and not individual board members. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And with that being said, I make a motion for suspension of rules for public participation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody who would like to step to the podium, please do so and address the board. You can go to the podium.
My name is Dr. Gregory Phillies, and I'm probably one of the oldest members here. And I was here for the 1960 and the 1962 spring flood and the great log jam of 1964, which we may need to refer to later. I have studied the bedrock situation of the West Channel, and I note that in the plan to use the West Channel, they must get the creek bed, the West Channel, at the same level as the East Channel where the point is. That will require blasting through about 4.5 feet of bedrock. And the bedrock is not shale, it's Onondaga limestone with chert in it in the mid-Devonian period. And that bedrock extends along underneath the silt in the whole West Channel. I'd like to ask the board if they're aware how far below the silt that bedrock exists.
How far below the silt? No, I am not aware how far below the silt it is.
Possibly.
We can ask the engineers.
Well, he made no comment on it.
Well, we'll record that, as I said beforehand, we can record the questions, and we will specifically ask those questions of the engineers.
The second question is, how much more are you prepared to blast out the West Channel? It may cost millions.
I'm not prepared to blast at this time. It isn't an option that is appealing to, I'm sure, anybody in the
You
room.
have to do it to get the creek beds to the same level.
Let's clarify that with the engineers.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Nick Ross, village resident. I just want to make a couple of comments in general. At the last meeting, I requested a copy of the report. I was told it could not be issued because it was a draft report. Shortly thereafter, it's my understanding the citizen went to Village Hall, issued a FOIL request, and the report was available. And I want to acknowledge and thank personally Administrator Canal for issuing that in a very timely manner. But when I was distributing that draft report to people along Oak Grove, somebody said, "Oh yeah, we know all about it." And so says that that we've already decided on option 2. So it's fascinating that I could actually get it because it was a draft report. Yeah, somebody I'm casing right now was discussing this with the citizens out on the streets. I don't understand it, but it's just pretty management. You know, the draft report referenced the Resilient New York program on page 1, and they're giving away more money, $45 million. That's not for me, that's too far. Okay. And the application deadline is June 6th of this year. Have you filed an application for any funds for this type of project?
Not at this time. We have not, because we need to, first of all, have a final report,
right?
And this
Let's
is
talk
the
about
draft.
final report. This was a draft report, but I also received the final report that Gomez and Sullivan did in June of 2001, 4 years ago. And again, they referenced the Resilient New York program as a source of funding. You've heard me say this before, we have the LWRP. You know, I'm tired of saying this, as long as I've been coming to these meetings for about 20 years, every board I face is kind of dismissive of a resident that talks about the Greater Niagara Waterway and the New York State Power Authority licensing agreement that issues funds for these type of projects that are out there. I hear FEMA, the county finished 2024 with a $26 million budget. They're now deciding, or surplus rather, they're now deciding how to divvy that up. I've never heard this board say we're approaching Genie Pinal to get some of that money for it. And again, you have heard this from me several times, as have previous administrations. This is a regional problem. This is just not a village problem. As we're talking upstream, we're talking Amherst, Cheektowaga, and Lancaster. I don't see them at the table. I don't know if they've received a copy of the Gomez and Sullivan report. Dr. Philly's brought some very good points of the millions and millions of dollars it's going to take to try to make this happen. A minimal benefit. I think Mr. Miller said a 1% chance of flooding, which is not that different than what is now. What are we going to do about this, and who's going to pay for it?
Well, we're in the throes of it right now. So we are looking at the information we have. We will be sharing it with Amherst. We will be looking at funding. As soon as we have all of the, and we discussed this at the last meeting, as soon as we have everything in place, then we will be able to seek funding. And we have opportunities. We know the opportunities are out there. We know there's CFA funding and other funding from EFC and New York State, and we will be looking at all of those avenues.
And right, and don't forget about the New York State Power Authority that is committed. They have to give $1 billion out for projects similar to this. And I've never heard that any administration, again, has tried to contact the Power Authority under their relicensing agreement and look for those funds for these separate projects.
I'll tell you, Nick, what I would love for you to do is email that information to Administrator Cannell and Sophie and help us.
With all due respect, I've been hearing Mr. Frank talk about the New York State Power Authority.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and,
I take him very seriously.
okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
We've talked since I was a trustee.
I tried. That was good. Thank you.
My name is Lauren Rybicki, and I'm a resident. In the report, the proposals, there's contingency for contaminant study. If the contaminants are found and being downstream from some very awful dump sites, who's going to pay for removing the contaminants, then storing the contaminants, and then our name will be on those contaminants forever? That can be a very costly proposition, and I'm just wondering, how does that figure into the accounting of the various proposals? And I don't know, just as, a simple everyday person, I don't venture into anything unless I know I have the money. And the reports say reference to federal and state money. I don't see the federal government looking very kindly on New York State, and to date, we see that we've been the brunt end of punitive measures. And so what's going to happen to federal funding? I don't see that being an easy touch. And state funding, if the state doesn't get money from the feds, where's the money going to come from? I wouldn't take a step without knowing that.
Thank you. And would you please note the removal of contaminants question? Thank you. That's a very good question. Thank you.
Bruce Boysenall, Williamsville. There is a cornucopia of issues with which you all have to deal. But with all due respect, in some number of years, you will all be gone, the staff will have moved on, but the decisions you're making today are gonna decide whether this is a navigable water, well, since the dam was up, but it was certified as a navigable waterway, a couple of times. And there are people here who know the exact history. But will you be remembered for the paint that you order? Or will you be remembered as the group that ended one of the beautiful navigable waterways of upstate New York? And I hope you will consider looking at the wisdom of keeping water levels controllable so that we can have a navigable waterway after you are gone and retired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
This is Mohammed Jawad. I live in Rhinebeck, 22 Rhinebeck. At the front of house, between sidewalk and street, have a two big tree. In the last winter, I came and requested a trim of tree. And from last summer to this summer, I 7 times called the village and again requested. 2 months ago, they came at a bad time, early morning at 8, and blocked the street where the school was going, and they don't know how to do it. Over there, a lot of dry branch, they didn't touch it, they didn't cut it, and they cut the living branch, and they leave it, they left it, and they need the treatment. And one time he playing, the one big dry branch and fell and cooled to his head, and I'm so scared. They should be just three. So
What number are you again?
22 Rhinebeck.
22 Rhinewell. I remember, you were here before.
Mohammed Jawad.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mohammed.
we'll look into it.
Send DPW, yeah, we'll take a look at it.
The make sure top of the tree, a lot of dry branch.
Okay,
Is not down, not living branch. They
Okay.
cut wrong.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Joe Stolteri, I live in the village, I live across the street from Mohammed, and I've called several times over the last 3 months. I've left messages, I left messages for Ben, he never got back to me. I finally got through, well, a couple times, but last week I talked to Sophie, and she got porky with me. She told me that the village is not here for customer service, and that there's 100 other residents, and I said, but this is a long-standing problem, and I think that that's just not right, that people talk like that. We never had that problem with Judy or Keaton, or Doug for that matter, and they're all seriously not village employees anymore. So for somebody to talk like that on the phone is just totally out of line. I don't need somebody to tell me what color the White House is. Totally out of line. We've talked about this tree, I think we have an explanation of we need to have an explanation of what's gonna happen. Okay? How many times do we have to call, and then we get gaslighting, we get condescension, we get porkiness on the phone? It's not right, okay? So, I'd like to know what's gonna be done about it. I'm sure you're gonna talk about it. I wanna talk about something else. The village seems to be more concerned about recycling pumpkins, and they're focused on raising fees, okay? Music on Main, raising fees. But I see signs around that apparently don't have permits, and one of them is on your property, okay? Some kind of cleaning sign that's on there. And I don't think that that should be appropriate. I don't think that the board should be drawing crooked lines. So
I
if
think
we're
there's a
gonna-
30-day, I
No,
believe it's a
those signs have been up
30-day.
there for two years, Mayor. I go down by there.
No, they haven't.
Well, they have. So I think if the board's gonna be making decisions, they need to be making straight decisions, not crooked decisions, and make it equitable for everybody. And the most important thing is customer service and a transparency. I mean, they're talking about it now next door, about transparency. There seems to be kind of a mousiness about the board here that just doesn't resonate very well. And getting back to the waterway, I don't think that this board is capable of handling that. It's not gonna happen with you. I don't even know if it's gonna happen with the next board. I mean, it's just a lot of talk over and over and over again. I've heard it time and time again. We applied for this, we applied for that, we're waiting to hear from this. Nothing's getting done, nothing.
We've had this for a year.
You've had it way
No,
before you
excuse
were on
me,
board.
the
Eileen.
prior board,
Eileen.
no, it's incorrect. Okay,
Eileen,
we've
don't worry about
dealt
it.
with the situation and we got to work immediately.
Okay.
So don't come here and tell me that
Mary
we're not
was on
doing
the board,
anything.
Dan was on the board, the others that left the board and discussed had been working on it.
Nobody was
Ben,
working on
who's
this.
never here anymore, where's
Joe.
he with this whole thing?
Nobody, listen, stop picking on the staff,
I'm not
okay?
picking on the staff.
And
I don't appreciate
downgrading
being
our
talked to
staff.
like
We
that.
have a wonderful staff,
Okay, well, Jim
okay?
and Keaton were very
So-
did very well.
Blah, blah, blah.
We,
Okay, Jim, I don't appreciate
we have,
that.
I don't appreciate
we
you.
started this, all right,
This is
enough.
their job,
We
is to
started,
But you
your
come
3
here
minutes.
all the time and you,
Your 3
she's
minutes
trying
are
to
up.
talk,
I'm
the
not
mayor's
gonna
trying,
come here
that's
and
you.
point to me.
There it is.
Time's up.
This
Okay,
is
that's
what we
fine.
can, but you
want
see,
people to come up here and
again?
tell to you.
oh,
Okay.
I'll just
All
zip
right.
it up for you.
Let's see what everybody else
That's what you
decides.
want, right?
Voter apathy is a big part of this whole.
You're a bully.
Dan Hunt,
Maybe you're
75 Diamond
ineffective.
Street. I'm gonna
You're a
say the
bully.
complete
All right, enough.
opposite of what people have been talking about. I'm actually gonna thank the
Joe.
board.
Gotta get it
Please.
in, don't you? Gotta get it in.
Could you please
Makes you
remove
feel
this
good,
gentleman?
doesn't it? Gotta get it in.
Joe, please leave, Joe. Don't, I asked you not to address individuals. Do not,
He attacked me.
Oh, yeah.
Joe, you have to
I
leave.
attacked you.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't wanna listen to the bull crap that he's got coming out of his mouth. I'm gonna thank the board and the mayor for actually taking on the damn issue. Because the last mayor could have taken it on, and her previous boards could have taken it on. I believe Amherst was gonna give money towards a study in the beginning, and she refused the money.
That's right.
All that mayor and her boards did was talk about crap that had nothing to do with the village. Should I wear a mask? Shouldn't I wear a mask? Can I carry my gun? Can I carry my gun? Am I gonna get quarantined and pulled out of my house? At least this board tackled the dam issue, tackled the soft lawn issue, worked on the comprehensive plan, and is working on the sewers. All things that have to do with the village of Williamsville. So I say, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm Greg Vanderhorst, I'm gonna take it down a notch, be nice, kind. Christine, I've been a resident of the village of Williamsville for 35 years, so I got you beat by 10 years. I live on the strategic area that's going, but I know your background's historical, and I saw the two proposals. Entrenching 40 feet behind my yard with a creek that's never gonna be filled with water. Last year, that creek almost went dry on my side. I'm in it every day, I'm in Island Park every day. I'm probably one of the most informed people of what goes on there. I'm telling you, weather's changed. I don't think this 100-year flood, 50-year flood issue is gonna be, if you notice, the weather patterns change. I haven't seen that creek get up to the bank in 5-6 years. And the flood of 60, it never went over our bank in Oak Grove. So just historically, aesthetically, that second proposal you had looked beautiful. It looked like some of the Rochester to Genesee River, something like that. I'm self-serving, obviously, the trench, but I just know if you dig it out, it's gonna be dry, it's gonna be bugs, critters, it's just, and you're gonna be in Island Park, look at that aesthetically, it's gonna look horrible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys, first time I've been here, you guys did a good job. I like the confrontation, that's nice.
Thanks, Greg.
Good evening, village board members. Mayor Christine. My name is Thomas Franklin. I reside at 5403 Main Street, and I want to thank you for my 3 minutes. I just had 3 minutes over in the town to talk about the same presentation regarding the Glen Park Joint Board connection to the Amherst State Park. And I want you to know that what's interesting about Ellicott Creek is that it's a tributary of Tonawanda Creek, and it's the Niagara Watershed Greenway Parks and Trails. It's a part of it. And there's a system, CFA, a consolidated funding application system that they're going to have their all-agency CFA workshop on June 11th, Wednesday. And it's all day long. But that is very important as far as the Glen Park Joint Board, as far as an interagency cooperation agreement, long-term. We're talking about a $10 million capitalization over a 5-year period. That the benefits extend through 2050. It coincides with the relicensing of the Niagara Power Project as far as the $450 million that they allocated to mitigate the cumulative negative impact of a 1.5 feet that it goes up and down every day. And that's why the United States Army Corps of Engineers did a survey of the sinking houses in Amherst. And Ellicott Creek is a part of it, but they shut it off at Niagara Falls Boulevard. So this is an application that has to do with the New York State Parks, Trails, and Historic Preservation. Okay, they had their summit meeting here in Buffalo, and it's also with the as far as the regional, the REDC, the Regional Economic Development Council. Okay, that it's an interagency, and that what it does is this is a part of a statewide system, the Greenway system. There's like 2,500 miles of it, and the purpose of it is to deal with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, as far as
Tom, thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Am I done?
You're done. 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Let me see if I've.
You're done,
there's
Tom.
anything I forgot. Well, it has to do with, really, the village and the town, they should have a joint meeting, like once
Me
a
too.
quarter. And one of the issues has to do with
Okay.
the LWRP, the Local Waterfront
Yes.
Revitalization Plan, as far as the management and maintenance.
Thank you,
of the
Tom. There are people,
infrastructure that
okay, there's
supports
people
the
waiting
built
behind you.
environment.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Paula Hines, and I'm a resident of Williamsville, and I grew up here, so I wanted to think a little bit about what I remember when I was a child, and I remember ice skating on Ellicott Creek. Our house is on Oak Grove, and I remember ice skating, and I remember using the canoe as well. And I have such great memories of Williamsville being a wonderful place to live. And so I only bring that up sort of piggybacking on Bruce's comment of where are we going? And so my question is really, in thinking of the long-term, well, you know, that idea of starting with the end in mind, what's our best case scenario, worst case, and most likely of a timeline? I'm just curious, I wonder.
A timeline for,
A timeline of when we'll figure out how the creek gets solved, sorted out, the apple.
well, studies, funding. We need funding. We certainly can't take care of this on our own. Funding, public hearing, we'll have another public hearing specifically once we get closer to if we have funding and where we can go with which project we feel is more suitable, if any.
So I'm thinking like 2027, 2026, just trying, like, for me, I like figuring out where the end line is.
I cannot give you an end line, because once we get the funding, it could be next year. And then the project, I can't predict how long the project will be, because they want to do it during low flow. So that will all be determined through other channels other than our doing. So off the top of my head, if you had to ask how long do I think this will take, I know how slow things move. when it comes to grants and funding and engineering studies. It took a year and a half for this one. So 3 to 4 years.
I hope we're canoeing again. So do we.
So we all hope that we have water around the island again.
Hi there. My name is Drew Burgett. I'm here with my wife, Terry. We live on the cul-de-sac on Len Springs Drive. And unlike Paula, I did not grow up here. Didn't know anything about Williamsville, but in 2019, when we purchased our house on Len Springs, it was 100% for the navigable waterway behind us, the creek that we could see, all of the wildlife that we were able to see and enjoy. And I will say, since the dam has been down, it's been a dramatically different experience. And I'm not sure I would purchase the same house again as a result of the way it is now. There are many, many houses across that waterway. And I just think that it definitely impacts the resale value. There are a lot of tenured people in all of these houses, and those are gonna come up for sale over the years. I think that's gonna definitely help the value of the houses, and which means tax base as well. And then lastly, I want to say, other than one time each going to Brightsmith and
Irishman?
Irishman, after seeing the creek, we've never been back. It's a tragedy right now. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Peterson, and like this lovely lady here, I also grew up in Williamsville, canoeing, ice skating. In fact, I taught a couple of people how to ice skate, and one of them went on to compete for national title in ice skating. Isn't that cool? And then she went on to marry a guy named Chuck Blades. She lives in Iowa, so we won't worry about her now. But anyway, I'm hoping that you will continue in your efforts to do things for the village, and instead of going small, go big. I would like to draw your attention to the report from the gentleman here and their.
Not my report.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's our village attorney.
I'm sorry, not your report.
This was a Zoom meeting with the engineers.
The engineers report.
The engineers report.
In section 3.2, they say, in addressing alternative 2, in section 3.2, they say that their estimated cost, saying that it'll cost less than $1 million, is based on using an excavator. Only an excavator, not, as this gentleman pointed out, a blaster. An excavator to simply lift the mud. But as he pointed out, there's more than mud there. There's plenty more.
Oh,
than mud.
we're on bedrock.
So there is, yes, so there's an
With the
additional
escarpment.
cost that is not shown here, and is going to be substantial, and is also going to take longer and disturb more people, and disturb more wildlife, and disturb more environment, and they have environmental repercussions. So again, I'd ask you to go big and not small. And as a small aside, another postscript, the town for many, many years, probably 30, 40 years, handed out a brochure that had a picture of 2 girls in a canoe on Len Springs Drive. I know, it was taken by the Courier Express. Those 2 girls are my older sisters. And they were Girl Scouts. They did a navigation of the Ellicott Creek, which is not at all official, but we're able to go quite a ways. Of course, you always have to portage for the dam and the falls, but that's only, a block. Officially, when I was an attorney for the Attorney General's office, my office, I shared with the environmental attorney, Paul McCarthy, for the region of Buffalo region, and he, along with 2 DEC gentlemen, did navigate the entire length of Ellicott Creek
again, portaging for the dam and the falls, but, you know, it's only a block, as we know. And they found it entirely navigable.
Good.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to see it continue. It's a beautiful, beautiful resource. So I ask you again, please go big and don't go small.
Thank you. Thank you. Sue, can we make sure we reiterate that? I want to be sure of, on this,
Yeah.
how much silt there is when the bedrock starts.
Yeah.
I'm Jim Peterson. I live on Lynn Springs Drive. 30 years ago, I bought a waterfront lot that is now in a mucky swamp. I just wanted to explain about riparian rights, and they're real. And I hope you're talking to lawyers who have actually tried one of these cases, and you're not just relying on somebody who never has. When all the property owners on a river or a lake, they call it littoral rights, but you have riparian rights to use the water, and you can't do things, you can't divert or take so much water that it negatively affects the other property owners. And apparently they summarized it very well in their draft report. The village long ago decided, in the 20s maybe, to divert a whole lot of water and made the mill not work. You got sued by the mill, they won, they got a court order that says, okay, we're not gonna make you tear out what you did, but you gotta do A, B, and C. And then they did that stuff, and it's wearing out, and it doesn't work, and the result is that we've lost the ability to use that waterway. And you didn't ask Gomez to evaluate the project that would best protect riparian rights. You gave them 3 specific projects, and they covered their behinds very well on page 11, where they summarize all of these different alternatives to carefully say that none of them comply with that court decision.
Mm-hmm.
And we comply with court decisions here, despite bad examples elsewhere. I urge you to consult with somebody who actually knows what the law is on this, and maybe budget some legal fees if you do one of the projects that isn't going to do anything.
Okay, thank you. Now I know why nobody else ever did the dam study. It is quite a challenge.
Good evening. I'm Chris Schunk. I live at 107 Oak Grove. I moved in there a couple of years ago. But I am a resident of Amherst my whole life and went to Williamsville South, so I know a little bit about the village. A couple things I just wanted to mention. If they do any of these 3 things, will it affect the flood map for FEMA?
Another question that we'll steer towards the engineers, because we don't know that answer.
When I looked through the study, it didn't seem like.
It didn't sound like it, but
You
I don't know.
They're using the word slightly for most of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any studies on the property values that have dropped because there is no water in the backyards that these folks are talking about? I did talk with an engineer today from Oppermeyer Company, which is one of the companies that do those dams. He said the $1.3 million seemed very reasonable. We didn't get into the depths of it, but I just kind of threw some things out there. They're very reliable dams. They are in cold climate situations now, so they function very well in ice and water. They have redundancies that can make it so if one of the points fail, that another one will pick it up to make sure that it's open to the proper amount. and then there's.
The
electric
sensors, you're speaking of the sensors that'll be upstream?
Sensors, and then there's like, he called it a bubbler or something like that, right at the dam, that if it got to a certain point,
Right,
that,
pops up.
that would actually
Activate.
take effect. And then you could do a manual operation
Override.
if needed, right? I would also ask, did you do any studies or any surveys to the people that live along the creek to see what they would recommend or how they wanted their backyard to be used? Because I hear a lot of people talk about being able to canoe on it, fish in it, ice skate on it, stuff like that. I understand how to do those surveys. It could be, wouldn't be scientific, but we could do like a QR code and then have a bunch of questions, and then people could put in their information on how they use it. At least you can get some data. If you'd like some help with that, I'd be willing to help you.
Thank you. Have we addressed any of this in the comp plan? Haven't we addressed some of the water issues through the comprehensive plan and the LWRP?
Yeah, the comprehensive plan and the LWRP are really
Have you looked-
resources for looking for like long-term guidance on these projects, so
Yeah.
I would encourage anyone to.
Yeah, the LWRP is a great, it is on our website.
Oh, yes, in multiple places.
Oh, yeah,
So-
it is.
Okay.
It is, it,
And the other question I have is the phase 3 that you talked about, digging out the bank. What would that look like from the park, right? Would it look like the Amherst Bike Path flood bench that's just a barren kind of grass field? Because it takes a lot of that natural
Right.
look away.
I understand that.
So, and it doesn't seem like any 3 of these have any impact on flood.
I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shunk.
Shall SCH with.
Thank you, board, for what you've done. I appreciate the study. It's very good. It's a good start. I just want to get some facts. First, I'll start with Lund Springs, since I've lived there since 1954. Lund Springs was given water through 5 springs. They were shut off in 1988. They're still there on Lund Springs, but they were shut off so that you could build the apartments and the stuff on Worley. So the only water Lund Springs has had since 1988 is backflow, number 1. Number 2, there's about 13 people, Nick's one, I'm one, that own half the creek from our properties, just so you know. Those are the only things I wanted to tell you.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, would anybody else like to step to the podium? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close suspension of rules for public participation.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, with no proclamations this evening. Public hearings. We have 2 public hearings this evening. Again, we'll start with the first one, extending the moratorium on short-term rentals. And this is just to extend that moratorium while we do more research on updating our code to reflect the best practices for short-term rentals. If anybody, make a motion to open up the public hearing for extending moratorium on short-term rentals.
Second.
There you go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if anybody would like to step up to the podium, please feel free to do so to comment on this topic. Seeing no one, I make a motion to close a public hearing for extended moratorium on short-term rentals.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for amending Chapter 103 Vehicle and Traffic Law, lowering the speed limit on Hirschfield Drive.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. If anybody would like to step to the podium to just comment on this topic, which is speed limit, we're reducing it to 25 miles per hour as it leads up to South High School. Seeing no one step to the podium, make a motion to close the public hearing for amending Chapter 103, Vehicle and Traffic.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, reports and resolutions. I have no reports. other than what I already discussed during the work session. So I make a motion that it be resolved that the following budget transfers are hereby made in the general fund for the 2024-2025 fiscal year as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 2, make a motion that it be resolved that the following budget transfers are hereby made in the sewer fund for the 2024-2025 fiscal year as written.
Second?
All those in favor? Resolution number 3, make a motion that it be resolved that payroll and vouchers in the amount of $92,529.19 covering the period from 5/5/2025 through 5/21/2025 are hereby approved as follows, as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion number 4, make a motion that it be resolved that the Williamsville Fire Department is hereby authorized to have Christopher Petrie travel to and attend the New York State Fire Training Tech Rescue Conference in Orinsky, New York, from May 28th, 2025 through June 1st, 2025, at an estimated cost of $601 for lodging and meals to be paid from education expense travel budget appropriation line.
Second?
All those in favor? Resolution number 5, make a motion that it be resolved that Susan Cannell is hereby appointed as Registrar of Vital Statistics for the 2025-2026 official village year. Further resolved that Catherine Ripley is hereby appointed as Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics for the 2025-2026 official village year.
Second.
All those in favor? Resolution number 6, I make a motion that it be resolved that the following are hereby appointed seasonal recreation attendants for the 2025 summer season for Garrison Park Wading Pool. Lucy Vogel, Alexis Quigliana, Cecilia Kibler, Lucy Flanagan, Jillian Bromley, McKenna St. George, Gabriana Lozano, Hannah Caparco, Kelly Demise, Megan May, I always say it wrong, Luke Donnarummo, and Caden Genovese.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Tory.
Thank you, Mayor Hunt. My reports I discussed during work session, and if those weren't here, just repeat that we're having Earth Day on June 7th at Island Park. It's a family-friendly event, so please join us. Thank you, from 10 to 1. I have 2 resolutions. Whereas the exterior asbestos abatement work at the Lehigh Valley Section House building was undertaken beginning with testing on the exterior stucco on January 2021 and moved forward with Phase 1 of the rehabilitation in early 2022 and Phase 2 in late 2022. And whereas the Village of Williamsville intends to continue this phased restoration of the Lehigh Valley Section House exterior, therefore be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the proposal from Flynn Battaglia Architects in the amount of $17,750 for their preparation of construction documents and limited construction administration for the Lehigh Valley Section House exterior asbestos abatement project Phase 3.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye. Resolution number 2, whereas the Village of Williamsville intends to apply for the Green Innovation Grant Program through New York State's Environmental Facilities Corporation, and whereas feasibility study to support the grant application is a necessary component of this program, therefore be resolved that the proposal from DiDonato Associates in the amount of $6,500 as a lump sum fee for preparation of the feasibility study to include 3 project sites is hereby approved.
All those in favor?
Aye. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tory.
you.
Trustee Celeste?
I've covered the committee reports in the work session, so I have nothing to add for there. And that would be it. I don't have anything further.
Thank you, Trustee Celeste. Trustee Hahn?
Yes, I covered my reports in work session. I would like to add, though, one thing. So we recently had, from the WBA, some permitting activities going on. And the village staff, especially Katie and Sophie, handled it extremely well, as they have all requests that I have made to them. And the feedback from the business community was extremely positive. I have one resolution. Whereas the Village of Williamsville intends to issue season permits for retail sidewalk sales, and whereas a seasonal schedule and fee need to be established. Now therefore be it resolved that a seasonal sidewalk retail permit shall be created for a duration of 120 days from May 15 through September 15. The cost of said permit is set at $100. Be it further resolved that the Williamsville Business Association retail business owners plan on organizing 2 boutique crawl events to be held in the Village of Williamsville on a date yet to be determined, one in July and one in October of 2025. It is hereby agreed upon by the village board that the permit fee for the participating vendors be waived for these 2 dates for said event.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, trustee Hahn, and thank you for your report from the WBA community. Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further from work session, although I do want to clarify one thing that I said that I used, I was told, the wrong type of light. So the Jolly Boys are donating a light, not string lights, but a light to the entryway to Island Park. And so, sorry for the confusion. And then that's all I have.
All right, thank you, trustee Jackson. It happens to all of us. All right. Any staff reports? Attorney Greco, Administrator Canal, Community Development Aide Gephardt? Nothing? Tom? No, I'm kidding.
Sitting awfully close to that table there.
I know, he's getting raised, getting used to it. Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
He's in Ben's spot.
Yeah.
What is Tom doing there?
It was a packed house.
Am I allowed to talk to you when we're not on?
Sure. Sure.
We're off the run.
They had financial difficulties in the 1930s too, but their plan was pretty good. And when you get into blasting or taking away repairing rates, you may be creating a wheel that's much more cumbersome than the wheel they created in 1932. Because what approvals do you need, and it's a lot easier thing to do a modern day where you have the existing.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's a money issue.
Well, except it will be a funding issue. You don't know that it's only gonna, that it's gonna be 700 versus 1.2. You start getting into some issues about cement blasting, litigation.
Yeah, but that 1.2 million design is not, that would not control the water levels and bring them up as high, nearly as high as what this was capable of.
Yeah.
No.
I took the white ones.
You mean back a little bit?
None of
None of it.
Never go back.